I've been blessed, and I think when you are, you have an obligation to give it back, and I want to do that, and I've been doing that, and I want to continue to do that.
Mayor Pro Tem Yvonne Johnson, thank you so much for taking time to spend with us and our Greensboro Television Network viewing audience. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad to do it.
Talk a little bit about this space that we're in today. This is one step further.
You're in the training room of One Step Further. I've been here for 30 plus years as the executive director of this nonprofit, which does the mediation services of Guilford County, the teen court program for young people who are beginning to get in trouble, and we want to defer them from doing that, the juvenile restitution program, and we have several programs that help young people who, not just young people, but young adults as well, who are in the criminal justice system, and we want to change their pattern of behavior. So that's what we do here.
You started here in 1983.
Correct.
You've been in some way, shape, or form affiliated with City Council since 1993, with the exception
Correct.
of 2 years. You've dedicated your life to serving others. Talk
Public
a little bit
service.
about that heart that you have.
I just believe service is the rent we pay for living on this earth. I didn't say that first, but I adopted that from Shirley Chisholm, I think said it first. But it's what I love to do, and I think I have some gifts and some talents for doing it, and I'm happy doing it. So that's what I love to do.
Talk about your life growing up a little bit. Let's start.
I grew up in Greensboro, very near A&T State University. My mother got very sick when I was about 6. I went to live with my aunt and uncle, who lived on A&T's farm, which is where P. Lorelei Tobacco Company is today. That property out there was A&T's farm, so I grew up on A&T's farm. I was in cattle shows. I learned how to make ice cream. And at that time, the farm provided most of the beef and the ice cream and milk for the college. So I had a good education in the Greensboro Public Schools. And my mother got better, and I sort of had this big extended family that I lived with my aunt and uncle during the week because the school was better, and I went home to my mother and father on the weekend. I have one sister, which I'm very close to, and that's how I grew up. Just active in the Girl Scouting, very active in Girl Scouting, love that. And I think it really was my foundation for a lot of the leadership skills.
I was going to ask, what point in time do you think you sort of noticed that you had that desire to help others?
I was young. I was 6 or 7 maybe.
Did you ever envision a day where you would be an elected leader?
No,
that was never on the agenda.
It was not
huh?
in my wildest dreams. I mean, I didn't imagine serving as an elected official. It was in, I think it was '92, on my first trip to Hawaii. And I was on the island, and I got this telephone call, and I said, oh my goodness, I hope nothing's wrong at home. And it was a good friend of mine from Greensboro that says, when you come back, you need to seriously think about running for council. You've worked with people all over this city, you know people all over the city, and you ought to consider running at large. I said, well, I'll pray about it, and think about it, and see what I come up with. So I did think about it quite a bit, and I said, well, One thing is I love people, I love meeting people, I love to learn. So I'll meet lots of people, I'll learn a lot about the city that I don't know. Probably can't win the first time out, but I'll give it a shot. And I did. I came back and I decided to run. Had a very extremely diverse campaign committee made up of almost 5 or 6 different nationalities, and didn't have much money. My signs were so cheap when it rained they curled up, but I won. So I was delighted and began to learn what kinds of decisions we make as city council people, and I felt like I was in graduate school when it came to zoning. But just enjoyed serving the people, particularly meeting with neighborhood groups and different faith groups, etc., and helping people reach their goals. So that's how it started.
Well, I guess at the time you probably didn't have this vision that you were 20 years later you would still be a part of this council.
No, I didn't.
Did you think about beyond, I guess, what would that be, 93 and 94, that 2-year term, what would be next? Or was it just kind of
it was sort of, yeah, it was sort of term by term, because I didn't know if I would enjoy it, if I would like it, if I'd be any good at it. And, you know, as people gave me feedback, and I tried to go to be, since I was at large, tried to really make appearances all over the city at various and sundry things, and enjoyed it so much. So it wasn't until years later that I said, well, maybe one day I might run for mayor.
Talk about that experience of running for mayor, being the mayor of this city. And I know before we got started, we talked about folks still will call you mayor, because once you've been mayor, that's sort of that emeritus position.
Well, you know, I served under Carolyn Allen and I served under Keith Holliday. And I decided that when Keith decided not to run again, I would run. I felt I was prepared. I'd been on council quite a while. I knew a lot about what we did and how we did it and why we did it. I've been involved in many, many budget hearings and setting the budget for the city of Greensboro and just a number of things. So I decided I would run. I was prepared and I would run, and I had tremendous support. And it was very humbling to have that kind of support and to win. And to be the first African American to be Greensboro's mayor. It was an extremely humbling experience, and I just tried to do a good job.
Over the last 20 plus years, how has the city of Greensboro changed? Because I think there's probably been a lot of change, but then at the same time I also hear people say, well, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Well, then maybe there is some truth to that. One of the things that I want to start with is when I first got on council, our downtown was dead. It was near death, if not dead. And we made a conscious effort to revitalize downtown Greensboro. We set money aside to do it. We supported the Children's Museum. We supported the International Civil Rights Museum. We supported Triad Stage. We supported changing some ordinances so people could, like, for example, eat outside. So a number of things we did to help revitalize downtown Greensboro. And people really responded to that. They started coming downtown. We supported the solicitation of various kinds of businesses and shops and so forth. So I think that was one of the first things I can remember this council, not this council, but the council doing. Greensboro has changed quite a bit, I think. We got Yvonne College in the downtown area during the period of time I was on council, which is a tremendous asset to our downtown. Our colleges and universities, many of them are partnering, like UNCG and A&T with the Nanoscience Center, and that's just awesome. I mean, the possibilities and the reality of what that is going to bring and has brought to Greensboro is phenomenal. Pre-Corps came, Honda Jet, Federal Express, Timco expanded. So there's been a lot in the area of aviation and transportation. We've become a tournament city. We expanded our programs at the Coliseum with the Aquatic Center, which was one of my babies, and I'm very proud of that. I mean, it's booked almost every day during the year, maybe 2 it's not booked. And it brings all kinds of tournaments and competition to Greensboro and a lot of money into our city.
Sure.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is, while they see the Coliseum as, well, they're not making money, most Coliseums in the United States don't. But what this Coliseum does is it's an economic engine for this city. The number of people it brings in, the number of hotel rooms, the number of people who eat in restaurants, the number of people who shop and buy in our shopping center stores and so forth makes a difference in our economy and our tax base. So that's been something that I think has brought about a big change in Greensboro as well. Now the Performing Arts Center that we're going to build, I think is going to be, I don't think most people realize what a crown jewel that is going to be. So those are just some of the things that Center City Park is one of my absolute favorite places in the city of Greensboro, in the heart of Greensboro. I think it was a brilliant idea. I think it's meant so much to so many people, and it's a place where every citizen can come and enjoy the park. You know, it's not for these folk over here or these people in this district. Everybody is welcome to come. So those are some of the things I think have been really positive changes in Greensboro.
As you fast forward kind of over that span of time, and you hear a lot of folks now talking about downtown going through a second rebirth, and there's always a process as towns grow, but downtown now I think they're saying close to $300 million in future investments.
That's right.
Do you buy into that idea?
I buy into it, and I think one of the important things that this particular council has realized is that we really needed to tweak our economic development vision and policy. We'd been using basically the same thing for 16 years. And it wasn't producing the economic development and the jobs that we wanted it to produce. Some of the things that are happening now are really encouraging in that regard. There's been a change in the guard for the partnership and the economic partnership, etc. And I think there is going to be a real different focus on economic development. And that's a good thing, because we need that. So I am excited about the growth that we're having, the boom that we're having. We need more. There's too many people not working, and we need to get them to work, and we just need to work harder to promote that kind of thing.
Yvonne, it feels to me like we're at this point in time where City Council and the partnership and the county and some of the other folks that drive economic development are all kind of on the same page for the first time in a while and having similar conversations.
That's
How's that
correct.
going to benefit Greensboro?
Oh, I think tremendously. I think when they always say 2 or 3 heads are better than one, but when 2 or 3 heads are together and they have a similar vision and a similar way of accomplishing that vision, success is generally right around the corner.
And we've talked a lot about downtown, but I think you are one that sees that downtown benefits everybody in the city.
Well, if your downtown's dead, your city is dead, and there's no question about that. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's city after city where their downtown has dwindled out and has become moot. the cities become moot. The cities don't grow. They don't. They're not. Don't have the vitality and so forth. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited about downtown, because it trickles. It really does trickle. And I think the University Square that we have proposed to do is right on the corner, sort of Lee, is a connector from downtown into one of the communities. And the greenways are the same way. And I think the more we do those kinds of things, the better people feel connected. And that's important to me.
I was going to ask you about connection, and you know, there's always that concern that the city is fragmented, and that certain parts of the city, depending on where you live, they don't feel like they get the same kind of attention that other parts of the city do. But I know council members, all 9 of you, work hard to try to make sure that you are,
and we
are
do,
being connected.
And we realize that there has been some of that in the past. I think that's why, one of the reasons why the council, I think, was unanimous in supporting the Renaissance Center in Northeast Greensboro, because they saw it as an economic engine for that community, and they saw it answering one of the problems of being a food desert in that community. And so when you were talking about the county and the city coming together, the councils come together, and they're seeing that, and they're working out ways to resolve some of those things. Nothing is quick and easy, unfortunately, but we're chipping away at it, and we have I think people have an acute awareness that we need to do that we owe that to the people of Greensboro. And the other area that I think we need to do a little more in is, we are a very diverse city in that we have over 109 different ethnic groups in the city from all over the world. And we have got to better capitalize on that and better have those folk feel like that they're an integral part of this city and use their gifts and talents. Well, many of them have businesses, and many of them have restaurants, and we support those kinds of things, but we've got to do a little more. We've got to reach out a little more, and we will.
Talk about your family a little bit, because I know you mentioned, you know, growing up and the role that your family played, but I know your family has been very supportive.
Family's a big thing in my life. My family, we were very close. Sunday dinners, all holidays, etc. I have 4 adult children. My 2 sons are both teachers and coaches. My oldest daughter is an attorney. She's a district attorney. And my youngest daughter is the only one who lives somewhere else. She's in Fort Worth, Texas, and she's a agricultural extension agent. I have 7 grandchildren, and they're all here. And so we have lots of family events together, Sunday dinners, which I cook, and my daughter-in-laws, and we're all very close, and we have a good time together.
How does that, being sort of the matriarch of that family, how does that work for you in the community too? Because I think you're supportive of everybody, every walk of life.
It just works fine. I mean, I am who I am, and that is one of the things I am. I'm a good grandma, and love being that, and love the time we have together, and the opportunity to grow closer together and to teach these children. One of the things I really stress is there's no instant anything. I think we live in a world of sorts, to some degree, of instant gratification. And I want them to know that you have to work for what you want, and it doesn't mean that you do work today and it's going to happen tomorrow. So those are some of the things, values we try to pass on, to treat people with respect and respect the dignity of everybody, which is a big thing for our family. So I enjoy the family.
What do you think your legacy is going to be as a council member, as a member of the community, maybe even as just mom or grandma?
You You know, when I first won city council, my youngest daughter's a poet, and she wrote this poem. I'm part Native American as well as African American, and she said I created paths for people to walk, and she wrote a lovely thing. It's probably going to be my my epitaph or whatever, be part of the obituary. But it was a wonderful poem. It was very touching about how I had the vision, and I would blaze the trail so others could follow and not have such a hard time making their way. So I hope that's my.
That's really great. That's neat. So what's next on the path?
Don't know. I don't know. I take it as it comes. I don't know.
What about for this particular council? What are some things that are left over for this council to accomplish?
Well, you know, I was fortunate. The mayor put me on the participatory budgeting committee, and I think it's going to be interesting if the council votes to do it, to see how that works and to see if it really involves more people in city government. In other cities it has. Just for people who are looking, participatory budgeting is a process which the city will say each of the 5 districts in Greensboro will have, I'm going to use a figure, this isn't what we've decided, will have $100,000. And everybody in District 3, District 1, 2, all of them will have $100,000. And people in the district can come together with proposals, and then the people in the district will vote on which proposal or proposals they want to support for their district. And I went to sort of a mock process at UNCG months ago, and it was fascinating. It was just fascinating. People come up with wonderful ideas. And I think the more people feel that government invites them to have a real active part, the better the whole city will be.
It's an element of engagement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What else besides participatory budgeting? Anything
Well,
else?
continuing the economic development vision and creating jobs is so important, or to help create jobs. You know, I'm for pushing Greensboro's tournament city image with soccer, with basketball, with baseball, with softball, with all of those kinds of things, with swimming, skating, etc. I would love to see the International Committee really, they're beginning to revitalize.
International Advisory Committee. Yeah.
Yes, and to really do some things where people in Greensboro can at least either on a personal level or at a distance get to know some of these folk that we have here, these folk who have so much talent and so many gifts. So that's another thing I'd like to see. I certainly want to see us recruit as many businesses and to keep the small businesses, and I'd like to see us do more for small businesses in our community because they are the foundation. See what they need, to try to accommodate them without, and I'm not talking about spending a whole lot of money. There are things that we can do that don't cost very much at all, that may help them immensely. So those are some of the things I'd like to do.
You had the unique opportunity to serve as mayor at a time when the economy really changed in our country. And in 2007, things are booming, and in 2009, things are not booming so well.
There you go.
But I know, and what maybe a lot of folks don't realize is the role that mayors play in economic development, because there's a lot of times when, as a mayor, you're in on phone calls and meetings and traveling to go recruit companies.
That certainly happened to me with LabCorp.
Mm-hmm.
It was during the end of my term, and LabCorp wanted to come to Greensboro, and we had made an economic development grant to them, an incentive to them, but they needed a little bit more. So we called the state, and the governor was out of the country. And I could never forget telling the secretary, well, get her on the phone because we need this. And of course we got LabCorp, but you're right. I was fortunate to have been a part of getting Pre-Corps, LabCorp, Honda Jet, Federal Express, and some expansions to Timco. And then I was on the board of the Golden Leaf Foundation and was able to get monies from the Golden Leaf Foundation for Honda Jet to expand. So that was all good.
What, as mayor in those days, talking to those businesses, what was the story you were telling them about Greensboro?
What a wonderful place it is, how wonderful the people are, that we have GTCC that was open to training folk for whatever jobs that were needed. If we didn't have the people trained, we would train them. That all of the wonderful, our arts programs, our parks, our schools, I mean, it was a whole 9 yards. It's kind of, so this is a great place to live. It's a great place to raise your family. It's a great place to live. It has so many pluses, and I would go through all those pluses.
Yvonne, you've shared so much already. I've got one final question.
Okay.
I'm asking all of your council
Okay.
colleagues the same question. What does it mean to you to be a member of Greensboro City Council?
What it means to me is that I can really reach out and serve the folk of Greensboro. I love this city. I grew up in this city. I was educated here. And it's a way of being able to give back a little bit of what was given to me.
Well said.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
All
Take
right.
care.